Hey YouTube, it's Justin the Snap-on Junkie. How in the fuck are you guys doing today?
Hello, it's me.
This video, I just kind of thought about it tonight, and out here on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of us that are into tools in these tool channels. Now, well, fuck. What I'm trying to get at is nobody talks about. We're all very passionate about tools, and there's a lot of haters and trolls and stuff like that. But I'm not really. What I'm talking about is what makes them so passionate about tools. And I'm trying to figure out what is really going on here. Okay. So I started thinking to myself, and I was watching Hard Knocks channel earlier today, and I made a comment on his page and about some tools that he bought at a yard sale, and that got me, I was thinking about it. When you buy used tools, okay, in my opinion, if you get something that you've used and you're going to refurbish, that tool takes on an identity of itself, maybe of the craftsman that came before you that used it or whatever. And does that thing have some type of soul? Because people seem to be very passionate about this subject, and me included. But I wanted to share what Hard Knocks wrote, because this kind of sums up, kind of what I'm thinking about. So, I told him, I said, the guy welded it up so he could just, it was a double nut system, and he wanted it to be a single nut, so you only have to have one wrench to tighten it up. So, Hard Knocks, I wrote him, and he said, yeah, I'm sure that's why you welded up. He didn't fuck around with turning an inside plier into an outside puller. He just had pullers set up for everything that he needed. I would have loved to talk to the old guy just once to see what kind of knowledge I could pull out of him. Good transmission guys are getting harder and harder to find, just like finding a good machine shop, which he is very true. Now, to me, I believe that Hard Knocks bought some of this old guy's soul in the tools that he bought. And what I mean by that is that when, my grandpa used this ratchet, let's say, for fixing things that he used it for. And then, it got passed down to me. Now, this ratchet has some wear, and it's kind of, it was beat up and rusty and all that stuff. But, now it has some of my grandpa's soul in it and some of my soul, because I'm using this to get a task done. And then I thought, okay, well, what is the definition of a tool? So I had to look it up. It says it's a mechanical device that intends to make a task easier. That's one of them. Two is, this is another thing, like equipment used in profession of tool trades and things like that. And it means to perform an operation and an instrument. Okay. And then this is the funniest one. So it says a piece of software that could be developed, or like computer software and hardware, or perform low-level operations. That's what a tool is. Okay, then it gives you another one that's like a groupie. But what I'm saying is that if you're out there, right, that's what the definitions of tool is. But nobody out here on YouTube seems to talk about it. We show you a bunch of tools, but we don't talk about what they were really designed for and all that stuff. It's to make a task easier. Now, as times are changing, they had to change the definition and put in there that computers could be a tool. Now, this tool and this tool, this is a 19 millimeter wrench. In 40 years, this is still going to take off a 19 millimeter bolt, or, a 19 millimeter headed bolt. And this is a 9/16, and it's still going to be used as a 9/16, even 40 years later, right? So when people, is that going to be, the use, as things get more and more along, are we not going to have things like this anymore, Or like, in 40 years, nobody's going to want a 1940 scanner, or 2017 scanner. It's not going to work. But this tool right here is still going to work in 40 years, right? Theoretically. And people are a lot of passionate about tool brands. And is that because we're Americans and we believe that we built things? That we built things with our own hands, and we're passing trades down from generation to generation, and there is really no more trades out there. Like, I know that I've been looking for a Bridgeport mill and a lathe, some type of Bridgeport, and I obviously are going to buy, try to find one used or whatever like that, and I'm going to try to learn how to teach myself to machine parts and make little doodads or whatever, knick-knack items, if you will. But when I buy a machine, you also got to think there used to be a guy that stood in front of that thing for 30 years and made a living, made parts, right? So that tool, that Bridgeport mill or lathe, that thing has some integrated soul into it. That it is automatically, we don't know what it ever made. It could have made something that was very important to, us living a normal life. We don't know that, but it's something to think about that I know that you guys are, like, extremely passionate about, and we get so many comments about, what tool brands we buy and all that stuff. And really, does it really matter what one person likes over the next? I'm not a big Harbor Freight guy. I think in 40 years, are you going to look on eBay and be like, holy fuck, I found some old Harbor Freight shit on eBay. They want a nickel for it. Are people going to be that passionate about it 20 years or 40 years from now? Who really knows? But there is some people that are very passionate about Snap-on, Mac, Matco, Cornwell, or any other type of other tool that they use to perform a task. And as we use these tools to perform tasks or make it easier or fix things, do we, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this stuff, and it makes it easier for us to perform a job. So the question is, do you guys think that when you buy used tools from somebody, or somebody gives you some tools, does a little part of them go with each tool? Because what I found on doing this YouTube thing is I believe that it does. And back when I was drag racing, I got to be fortunate, and I met Jesse James, and he was telling me about his shop in Austin, Texas, that he had all this stuff that used to build, like, World War II airplanes and shit. He had all these air hammers in a forge. And he said, part of what it used to make is still in my shop. I'm carrying on, old world craftsmanship. And where are we going to be in 40 years? I think that's one of the reasons that, we have the president we have. Because deep down inside, there is still people believe that we are good at manufacturing, and we want to make things here in the United States and be proud to be a United States citizen and things like that. And that's why they voted for the president we had, because he was talking all that shit that they really wanted to believe in. Like, they really wanted to think that manufacturing is coming back here to the United States. That's what we built this country on. And there's a lot of trades that we don't have anymore, and that's really a bad thing. Like, when Hard Knocks was talking about a good machine shop, I have some things that need to be machined. I have nowhere to take it because there's nobody here in the city that I know of that has a good reputation that could fix stuff. So where am I supposed to find a guy to make something to machine my block to put a sleeve in it so I could get it fixed? Well, I mean, there is nobody. They're all, either they're all old guys that, went out of business because they couldn't compete with new automated stuff, or, they just got old and died and quit, and nobody took on what they were doing. So I think that we should ask ourselves when we, comment on this stuff, what one guy's passion is maybe is not another guy's passion. And I'm sure that, you know, I'm guilty of that too. There is, like I am a diehard Snap-on guy. That's just what I like. I'm not a big, into Harbor Freight or Mac or, Maco. I have all that stuff. I have some of that stuff, but it's just not, what I'm truly passionate about. So when I use these tools to fix my truck, some of my soul is going into these things, and the next person that gets all this stuff is gonna pick up some things that I touched, and that's kind of interesting. So I just that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I thought that it was an important point that nobody's ever talked on any tool channel. They've never explained like what tools are really designed to do. It's to make your life easier or to perform a task which makes you feel accomplishment or something like that, if you get what I'm saying. Like you performed a task, you finish the task, and you feel great about it. Now, some of us are better than others at performing tasks, and that's just the nature of this. There's always going to be somebody better, there's always going to be somebody worse. Where are you? Somewhere in the middle. But I just think that you guys should, think about that, And when I was, when Hard Knocks wrote that comment back to me, it was very, I understood what he meant. Like, you want to meet a guy that's in a shop, and it's really old and shit, and he's got all this really cool stuff in there that has soul. And I think that tools are the only thing that really can drive that type of passion out of people, because you guys seem to be really passionate about what tools do for you and things like that. That's what I've came across doing this YouTube stuff. But I mean, I don't want to bore you guys with that, but I just thought it was a question, that do you guys feel the same way as I do about tools, or are you not that passionate about it and you just, watch to see what we buy? Or are you passionate about seeing how other people use tools and stuff like that? That's why I think the toolbox tours are so popular. Everybody wants to take a peek into somebody's house. Well, you can't really look into somebody's house, but you can look into their toolbox. And that's, you can get different setups, see how they do it, maybe improve yours. But, fuck, this thing went out on a tangent, I guess. But anyway, that's all that I wanted to share today. It was just a question that popped in my head, and I wanted to know if other people feel the same way as I do about stuff with, do tools have soul? Do they carry on a little bit of the person that owned them before? So if you guys want to leave a comment in the comment section, let me know what you think. Like always, guys, go visit my Patreon account. Become a Patreon there. Help support this channel. What else? Check out my other social medias, Facebook, Instagram, the Snap-on Junkie. Like always, guys, thanks for watching today, and I'll see you on the next one.